Hi guys, so will the new Labour government rebuild the relationship with the EU that was pretty much destroyed by both Boris Johnson and Liz Truss and somewhat improved under Rishi Sunak? During the election campaign, Labour said that they would not seek to rejoin the EU, the single market or the customs union. They repeatedly said that the referendum had taken place, that it should be respected, but that didn't mean that they couldn't improve things with the bloc. The Taoiseach of Ireland told Sky News recently that the door remains open to improve things. The new Business Secretary was asked about that.
The Irish Prime Minister, Simon Harris, suggests to Sky News this morning that this could be the start of a new relationship. I just want to show you what he says.
Brexit has happened. The people of Britain have made that decision. But absolutely, is there space to have a veterinary agreement? Is there space in terms of student mobility? Is there space to work closer together on issues? I think there absolutely is. And I do think there would be a willingness in Europe to have those conversations in due course, should that be the wish of the British government.
That seems to me a pretty clear opening of the door to a renegotiation of at least some aspects of the trade deal. Are you going to walk through that door? It's your job now.
Well, I welcome that constructive attitude from colleagues. We were right in the campaign to respect Brexit, to not revisit those constitutional arguments. But when it comes to trade, the issue that you've just revealed there in that revealing clip is really about standards on food. We've got the same standards as the European Union. If we can sell more whiskey, more salmon to a market which is so significant to us, of course we should explore an opportunity like that. And I think moving forward to be frank, a relationship to Europe that is not determined by the internal politics of the Conservative Party is very much in the national interest in the UK. So we're not going to revisit those constitutional arguments, but of course where it's in the mutual interest of both the European Union and the UK to work together, that good faith relationship has got to make sense.
So no re-entry to the EU, no new referendums or anything like that, but it's clear you want a closer relationship with the EU.
Well, I think on things like food and agricultural products agreement, when we've got the same standards, removing some of those barriers to trade, that makes sense. We have talked, for instance, about recognising each other's professional qualifications, again, completely sensible, pragmatic. You know, if you are in the creative industries, you've really suffered in your ability to move around the European Union in terms of the restrictions on that. These are practical things. And actually, we have seen a little bit under the last government. We saw the reassociation with Horizon, the science agreement, and the Windsor framework. So clearly, the basis is there to do that. And I welcome constructive colleagues.
It's interesting because you've named 3 or 4 things there. And put together, this sounds like the development of a new deal. I mean, to some extent, what Rishi Sunak tried to do, but actually you seem to be saying that there is space here for a new and more open relationship with the EU. They're going to ask for something. They're going to ask for migration. Are you open to that? Free movement of people?
Well, I don't think we should preempt that negotiation. We're not open to the free movement of people. That is something which is part of membership of the European Union. And as I said, we're not revisiting that. So it's not about that. Let's be clear as well. These are things that I think are in the UK's interest. They're also in the EU's interest. That doesn't mean it's an easy negotiation. But of course, we should always be seeking to make those opportunities real for everyone across the UK.
Okay, so it's much more positive than what the Conservatives were banging on about for how many years. So what they want to do is have a better relationship with the European Union, try to bring down some of these barriers to trade, to make it easier for businesses to import and export from the European Union, from the single market. But as he has said, and we had hoped that the language would change, but the language has not really changed since the election. There's no talk about rejoining the EU, rejoining the single market or the customs union. Now, I keep saying, in order to access to be part in the single market, once again, you have to. The most reasonable, logical step is to rejoin the European Union, because you're at the table making the decisions. So, what he's advocating here, once again, is for rule taking. This doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, I understand people will say, look, it's better than what the Tories are doing. Yes, it is. Now, the reporter here, Trevor Philips, talked about renegotiating the TCA. That's not up for renegotiation. In 2026, which is still another number of years away, it's up for review, where both sides will look at it and say, okay, what has gone well, what has not gone well? Is there something that we can improve? But the argument that's never really made, it was touched on here, is what the EU will want in return. Because the EU had offered Erasmus, they had offered a number of things for the UK government during the negotiations with Boris Johnson, and Boris Johnson and the Brexiteers said, no, we don't want that, we don't want that, we don't want that. So there's a possibility of having some of those things back. But if the UK wants to improve and bring down barriers to trade, it will have to give something in return. And unfortunately, when it comes to immigration, it seems the same rhetoric as the Tories continually pushed, over the last number of years, that immigration is a problem, it needs to come down. Britain needs workers. The population is declining. The numbers of people, of older people, is increasing. Britain needs immigrants. If you want to fund public service, if you want to fund public services, you need workers. If you want to staff the NHS and care homes, you need workers. But you can sell the line to the public, what we're going to do is train up our own, but that takes time, it takes money. And if you want to grow your economy, you need the workers to do that. So I think the UK will have to bring back some form of freedom of movement, but of course it will be one way until it rejoins the European Union. So these are positive words from the new Labour government, but it doesn't go far enough. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.